Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the BGF podcast. I am your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
We're a week away from the Super Bowl. How you feeling?
That my Niners are in it. So far right now, I'm not really nervous because it's still pretty far out. But ask me this next week, and
we'll see. Different answer.
Ask me when the game's about to start, and then you're gonna get a really different answer. But I'm excited, especially after that Lions game with the way it was going after the first half. I thought I had a 20% chance of maybe if we get a turnover, we score right away. It happened, so we got the miracle.
Everything went right, man. Everything went right.
And last time I went to the Super Bowl, we kind of dominated our way to the Super Bowl. Now that we actually had to earn our spot here and had to go through some adversity, maybe the result will be different this time. But we'll see, and we'll have a preview out for you guys next week on the Super Bowl, and we'll have some bets that you guys can put, as we know that the Super Bowl is one of the highest bets.
Building my stock, babe. I'm building my stock for that weekend. Anyways, let's. This week we decided to not give you a preview since it's a week away. We don't want to sort of have it out too early even and just people forget about it. So we decided the hot topic right now is the NFL head coaches. Just go over all the hires. I think everyone has a head coach right now. Pretty sure. Yeah, Commanders were the last one. Yeah. So yeah, everyone has a head coach, so we'll just go over it, give our thoughts, see who's a big winner, who's a big loser.
I feel like it's early though for everyone to already have.
It is pretty early. The football season didn't even end,
yeah,
and everyone's there, which is good. I mean, teams are on track; they know what they want, and yeah.
Especially leading up to free agency and the draft, you do want to have your certainty and know who's in place. So good for these teams. I'm sure there's still some coordinator jobs that are open, so that's probably the last we'll hear. In the head coaching space, unless somehow Shanahan or Andy Reid gets fired or Andy Reid retires, which I highly doubt. But yeah,
we'll see. Anyways, let's get into it. The one that I'm really, really excited to talk about is the Los Angeles Chargers' new head coach, Mr. Jim Harbaugh, and I think this is an absolute steal here. And the Chargers have themselves one hell of a head coach. And Harbaugh's the type of guy where, yes, he's strict, but his players play for him. He has his team believe in him, and he's one of those just leader of men. And oh man, it's gonna be an interesting change in Los Angeles, going from a defensive-minded head coach to a sort of offensive-minded one that's more run-heavy, more build up the trenches, run it down your throat. It's gonna be a different style of football in LA, and I don't know. I'm a big Jim Harbaugh guy. Vikings had him in their hands, and they just let him walk, and they made the wrong hire in my opinion. But hey, topic for another day. But yeah, what do you think about this hire?
Yeah, I really like the hire. Obviously, as a 49ers fan, he was our head coach back in when did he get hired? 2008, I think.
12. No, 2008. Yeah.
2012, but
2008. Yeah.
Around there, he basically took the 49ers from when they were struggling, finishing with 5-6 wins every year. And he brought us back to being relevant. Got us obviously to the Super Bowl against his brother, John Harbaugh. And unfortunately lost, and he did end up with a Super Bowl now. He comes back to the NFL after winning a national championship with Michigan, and they'll look to do it with the Chargers. Obviously, we know their cap situation. They are 40 mil over the cap.
Yeah, big cap hell right now.
They're all, with cutting Mike Williams, Khalil Mack, and a few cuts that they could do in trades, they'll be able to fix that, and I think it's a good fit. He gets the quarterback that I don't know if you saw his press conference when he was talking about one of
Herbert.
the reasons. Yeah, he really likes Justin Herbert from what he was saying, and I think it'll be a good fit. We're all expecting now. It's been Justin Herbert doesn't have a good situation. That's why he hasn't been able to perform in the.
Maybe the change he needs.
Now he has no excuse. Now there's no more coaching. There's no more this and that. It's time for Justin Herbert to perform, and I think he will. He's a very talented quarterback, and I've been a fan of him coming into the season. I was high on the Chargers. I've always been high on the Chargers. I feel like they've always had the talent to do it, and now with Harbaugh, good head coach, Brandon Staley, none of this. So I think it'll be a good hire and A+ for me. Yeah,
same. I have to give it an A+. This was an excellent hire. I think most underrated. I don't know if people think he's underrated, but best coaching hire of the offseason for me, minus one other guy we'll get into a little later. But anyways, let's move on here to one of the more recent ones, actually, something that happened yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Commanders hiring Dan Quinn. That shocked me. What did you think about this one?
Well, the thing is, I wasn't surprised really because of we knew Ben Johnson was going back to the Lions. That's who I really thought they were gonna get before he announced that he was going back. And once he had announced that, I was like, they only had interviewed Dan Quinn that was left, so he was kind of the only guy left. I'm not a huge fan of this one.
No.
I feel like I was ready to be all up on that Commanders train with an offensive head coach, a new quarterback, probably Drake May. And with the offensive weapons they have with Dotson, McLaurin, Brian Robinson, good weapons, I was expecting this offense to go up a level. And
Yeah.
now with Dan Quinn there, who, in my opinion, didn't really impress in his last stint with Atlanta. But you know what? The players do like him. We saw Michael Parsons did say, wherever Dan Quinn goes, he'll go. Obviously, I doubt he'll end up on the Commanders there, but he did turn around that Dallas defense when he did go there, which didn't look too great before he got there. He turned it around, and they obviously got exposed in the playoffs, which even that after that playoff performance, I thought there was even a chance he might have got fired from the Cowboys. To see him get a head coaching job off of that, I was very surprised.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not too inspiring of a hire. I'd probably give it a C.
Yeah,
basically like buying in the middle.
Yeah, because the way I'm looking at it, right, you're going from a defensive-minded head coach in Ron Rivera, who was a bit old school, to another one.
Yeah.
And it just like I feel like they needed a bit of a change, and they just didn't get it. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna give this one a D+. I don't think it's the greatest hire, but hey, who knows? He did go to the Super Bowl with the Falcons, so we'll see.
You would like. It's barely even talked about that he was the the head coach. I feel like Shanahan does.
Oh, on Shanahan for choking it.
But anyway, speaking of the Atlanta Falcons, they also got a new head coach, Raheem Morris, the former defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams, and this is a hire that also at the time I was kind of surprised a bit, but there was some rumors that obviously everyone was expecting him to get Belichick.
Yeah.
Because it was really just, does Belichick want to go there? But in the end, it looks like the Falcons didn't want him, and I think a lot of the people higher up didn't want to deal with Belichick, and you know that you have to give him a lot of control once he comes there, and with everything he's done in his career, he's not going to just take no money either. He wants the big contract. He wants the control, like you mentioned. He wants to make sure that, you know, one of the highest paid head coaches in the league. And I mean, I don't blame him. You know, at the end of the day, he does have 6 Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. The debate is he's not good without Brady, but hey, I'm not here to debate it. Still has 6 Super Bowls under his belt, and that first Super Bowl wasn't on Brady. That's all I have to say. But hey, anyways, Raheem Morris, I like this hire. I think it's a good hire. What he's done with LA and that defense, especially over the past couple of years when it's been aging and sort of regressing. And especially this year, not much talent on.
Not much talent, and he's kept them afloat. He's kept them decent. Obviously, they're not as elite as they were when Donald and Ramsey were in their primes and just completely dominating the NFL. But hey, still keeping them afloat. And once again, a leader of men. People believe in him. People want to play for this guy. So I like this hire in Atlanta. I think he's going to do just fine. Plus, Atlanta has a very underrated defense, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He's going to elevate them, and I give this one honestly a B+.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that B+. And also, he was the interim head coach in the past for the Falcons, so there is some familiarity there. And also, they did bring in Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator, the passing coach for the Rams last year. Yeah. So obviously, there was huge complaints with guys like Kyle Pitts. Mm-hmm. And Bijan Robinson, Drake London not being utilized well under Arthur Smith, so hopefully that does change, and a lot of positivity going into the season for the Falcons, and he said B+ higher for me, near an A-.
Yeah, moving on here, we got the Carolina Panthers going in on Dave Canales. I believe he was the QB coach.
No, he was offensive.
Or the OC, and he was the OC in Tampa.
He only was there for 1 year, so I'm surprised that he got a job this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't hate this hire. I think he's done pretty good considering the situation he had in Tampa, like under Baker Mayfield, to sort of rejuvenate his career, made him play some of the best football, especially towards the end of the season. Baker was really balling, and underrated hire for me. I think he's going to be a great fit just because Bryce Young is so young, and he's going to need this sort of QB's coach, offensive-minded head coach that just grooms him potentially and maybe turns him into a great quarterback. We saw what he did with Baker, so hopefully he can translate that to Bryce Young, and I do believe Bryce Young is talented, just was put in a very, very tough spot with a not loaded up roster and just, you know, a really, really shit spot for the guy. So hopefully Canales can come in and just turn that around and make him start playing to the level he's capable of.
Yeah, for me, this hire, I feel like I'm not mad at it. Obviously, the league is going into a place where it's an offensive-minded league, and all the offensive-minded head coaches are like running this league right now. As you could see in the Super Bowl, 2 offensive-minded head coaches. I just feel like it's a bit early on Dave Canales. 1 year as an OC, kind of early to get a head coaching job. I would have liked to see him probably another year.
Yeah.
With this Tampa Bay offense, but good for him. He got the job, and it's obviously a 6-year deal, so a lot of term. And I feel like the Panthers kind of didn't have many choices. I feel like it's a job that not many people would have wanted to take, just seeing the dysfunction that there is in that organization right now. And for what they probably could have got, I feel like this is one of the best options they could have got. So taking that into consideration, I will give it a B. What did you end up giving it?
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to be optimistic here and give it a B. I completely agree with what you said. I do want to see him take another year under center in Tampa, but I mean, like you said, the Panthers have a very, very tough spot. Not many coaches want to go there. I feel like they had to take a chance on a guy like Canales. And, I'm going to give it a B just for the optimism.
Mm-hmm. Could work out. I wouldn't be surprised if it does work out. And hopefully for Bryce Young, this does turn around his career, because it was obviously a very rough year 1.
Yeah. So, moving on right along, we got Jerod Mayo, the New England Patriots head coach, and shouldn't be a surprise to many. They were sort of grooming him over recent years to take over eventually. Maybe it came a little earlier than anticipated, but either way, I mean, just passing of the guard here, in my opinion, Belichick to Mayo. I think they're both defensive-minded head coaches. Mayo is obviously younger. Players maybe believe in him a little more than Belichick, but I mean, it's just to be expected here. That was their head coach. They knew it before firing Belichick. They knew this was the future, and it just did happen.
Mm-hmm, yeah. He was a former player, Jerod Mayo. So
yeah.
That's another thing. We know players like playing for former players, and because they've been there, done it.
Yeah.
They've been on the field. They know what it is to be an NFL player. He will be able to inspire the guys. So I like it in that way, but I don't know, in terms of what he'll actually bring to the team, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not 100% sure.
Me neither.
So we'll see what it is. I don't really have. I'm probably gonna give it like a B-, C+.
I'm gonna give it a C+, just because it was the safe route. Mm-hmm. It was nothing crazy, but hey, hopefully he does good things in New England. We'll see. Next season's gonna be interesting for them. So
next up, the Vegas Raiders bring back interim head coach Antonio Pierce full time.
This was my second favorite hire of the offseason.
I'm in the middle on it. Obviously, we saw Max Crosby on his podcast say that he would request a trade.
Yeah.
If they didn't bring in Antonio Pierce, I don't know how true that actually was, if he would have really done it. But for Max Crosby, the players obviously love him. We saw it when he took over from Josh McDaniels last year. The players rallied around him, and they liked playing for him. What did they end up 4-3 under him?
5-4 under him.
5-4, so a very good record considering
where they were. It's very, very good.
I just feel like the Raiders kind of were put into a spot where they couldn't really go out and look at other candidates. They were kind of under pressure to take Antonio Pierce, and I know it went well at the end of last year, but he doesn't really have any head coaching experience either, besides those 9 games last year. So I don't know. I just feel like the Raiders were kind of under pressure, and they had no choice but to make this, and they couldn't really get the guy they wanted. So we'll see what happens, but I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I'm gonna give it a B though. I'm still impressed with what he did last year, so I don't think it's a bad hire in any way. I just feel like the Raiders kind of
were forced into it. Yeah. No, I'm gonna disagree with you here. I think Antonio Pierce is one hell of a hire for the Raiders. Whatever reason, he just makes the players around them play better. Compare Max Crosby's beginning of season to his end of season. Towards the end, the guy was looking like the best defensive player in the NFL. And they absolutely rally behind Antonio Pierce. He doesn't have a quarterback. Still managed to get them 5 wins. Under McDaniel, I think they had amounted to 8 wins in his 2 years or something like that. And I absolutely love this hire. I think it's a great hire for the Raiders. They're going to absolutely play for this man. They play hard. They will play. They will compete. And give them a quarterback, and we'll see what he can do. I'm giving this an A-.
A-. No, I do agree, though. Like, he will... Like, the players love to play for him.
They love him.
But for me, it's like... It's kind of a honeymoon period to me.
Yeah, I get it.
Once that honeymoon period falls out, like, how long term is it? does he really offer after that? So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, it's early on, and yeah. For me, what did I say? B minus or something?
B minus,
I
yeah.
said A minus. So that's our thoughts. Next up for the Titans, Brian Callahan, former offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, and honestly, this one was one of the early hires.
It was pretty early on.
I like it. Obviously, like we said earlier with the Panthers head coaching hire with Dave Canales, it's an offensive league, and the offensive guys are starting to rule this league. So I like it. They got Will Levis, so that's going to help him out. Hopefully a guy like Treylon Burks, who there's been high expectations for him when he got traded for basically A.J. Brown on draft night. Hopefully he can get Treylon Burks to finally
start playing.
Yeah, playing to his potential. I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to stick around through the offseason.
Probably not.
Yeah, the way the team's going now that Derrick Henry is leaving, Ryan Tannehill, that kind of era of Tennessee Titans football is they're kind of transitioning, so I have a hard time seeing DeAndre Hopkins being there, and I hope he does go somewhere else and on a contender and not just being stuck in the middle with the Tennessee Titans. And I want to see Treylon Burks obviously emerge, Tajay Spears. They got some nice pieces. I feel like Brian Callahan can get some stuff done with this offense. And going into next year, this is a question I did have. Who would you take? Bryce Young with Dave Canales or Will Levis with Brian Callahan? Who do you think is a better?
I'm still on the Bryce Young train in Dallas. I still think he's gonna emerge as one of the better quarterbacks in his class. Obviously, I don't think he's gonna be as good as CJ, but I do think he has a lot of potential. And give him the right head coach, give him the right offense. I think he can shine, and we'll see. But maybe not this next year because the Panthers team, I don't think is gonna be able to do much to help him. But give him like 2-3 more years, I think he'll turn out to be all right. But
for me though, on that conversation, I was leaning towards Will Levis because he does have the traits. He does have the big arm and 6'4" or whatever.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
He's tall, and we saw last year when he came in how good he did play. So I just found that interesting. But yeah, I don't hate the Bryce Young one. I feel like it's pretty cool.
No, that's it. And just I want to touch up on Brian Callahan. Joe Burrow goes down, and you get Jake Browning come in. You think your season's over, but he managed to keep this team relevant through a very competitive AFC. And obviously, people are saying it was Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan. Now we'll see who the real OC was in Cincinnati that he's gone, and it's going to be all on Zach Taylor. We'll see who the real offensive-minded head coach was. I think it was Brian Callahan more so than Zach Taylor, and I think Zach Taylor will get exposed a little bit this year, but that's just me previewing things. I'll give this one a B. I'm optimistic about this move.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. I like this one, and I feel like it was kind of went under the radar with how early it was, and it wasn't really in the whole cycle when
it did.
All of them were being hired. Next up, we got one of the more recent ones, the Seattle Seahawks hiring former Baltimore Ravens DC Mike McDonald, and as a division rival of the Seattle Seahawks, I don't like it. The thing is, because I know Baltimore's defense was very good this year and probably the best defense in the league, but Seattle does not have anywhere near the weapons on defense that
they don't have the talent.
They don't have Roquan Smith. They don't have Patrick Queens, Kyle Hamiltons, Matabuke. They don't have guys like that. So I don't know. I like that they got a defensive-minded guy over obviously Ben Johnson, another guy that was rumored to go there. Yeah. So I prefer Mike McDonald going there than him. I don't know how long he's been there. He was obviously on Michigan before he went to Baltimore. I think, is it a year or two? I don't know. It's been max 2 years that he was in Baltimore. He did do a good job there. So I don't think it's a terrible hire. I think it's a good hire for them. And but as a rival, I'm not too worried about Seattle yet. I feel like they still need a quarterback. A lot of things that they need to address. And really just a middle-of-the-pack team right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And, I mean, you're moving on from Pete Carroll. It's definitely going to be interesting not to see Pete Carroll coaching this year. He's been on the team for 14 years. Literally, as long as I've been a fan of the game, he's been a coach of this team. And just watching someone else take over this team is going to be a little different. We'll see how the players react to it. I think they're pretty optimistic. And, I mean, you're moving on from a defensive-minded head coach to another one. I believe he's going to be the youngest head coach at 30. Yeah, he is the youngest head coach at 36. God damn. Good for him, Mike McDonald. 36 getting a head coaching gig. Good for you, man. But I like this hire. I'm optimistic about it. I'm going to give it a B plus. Or a B. I'll give it a B. Sorry, I'll give it a B. I'm optimistic. I think he can do great in Seattle. Just like Brandon said, give him a few more pieces on offense, and we'll see what he was really capable of.
I'm also gonna give it a B plus. It's just for Seattle. I feel like they're just kind of they're in purgatory. They're like just stuck in the middle where
they don't know what they want to do.
They have talent, but it's like nowhere near Super Bowl talent yet. And I think they really need to address that quarterback position. I'm not sure what pick they have this year, but I don't really think it's gonna be high enough to address those issues. I think they must be like 12, 13
around there.
I don't know. Maybe they do trade up, but. We'll see. That'll be for a later time, and is that the final?
That's it.
Those are the ones we have. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Let us know what you think about the coaching carousel, all the hires, down in the comments below. We answer pretty much every comment, and we appreciate the support. Love it. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, follow us on our socials, BGF Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
I'll see you guys next week for the Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, and see you next one. Bye.
Bye.